This video is sponsored for the third time by the lovely folk at Yahaha Studio, who constantly somehow see something in my channel that they like, and as such, keep reaching out to work with me. Yahaha is a new user-generated content creation platform for 3D multiplayer interactive experiences, allowing literally anyone, including myself, and if I say it, you know it's true because I'm an idiot who can't create anything, to create and publish their own virtual experiences without coding experience or server knowledge, using their cool features, components, and smart assets to make your dream game a reality. But that's not all, because Yahaha also hosts regular live sessions for their community on Twitch, allowing and helping creators to enhance their building skills. So for those of you new to Yahaha, or those who are a little older but want to get a bit more help, make sure to triple tap the follow button on Yahaha's Twitch, or check out their previous sessions on YouTube. I've got to say though, I genuinely love working with Yahaha, because what they produce is so easy to use. There's literally no downside to me working with them. If, for example, you wanted to make a hide-and-seek game, it would actually be this quick and easy. All I'd have to do is choose the template, go into the asset library, open the components, click the necessary component card, and then add it to my assets. From there, all I'd have to do is find a cool 3D asset and click view in scene so that it would appear on my map, place it on the map wherever I'd like it to be, add the component to it, and then press play, allowing me to immediately be able to transform into this object and start playing hide and seek within less than 60 seconds. If you'd like to go show some love to Yahaha and are interested by the things I've shown in this segment, make sure to click the link in the description down below to check out Yahaha and start making your dream games for free. Have you ever heard of this guy? He's a visionary, a controversial public figure who isn't afraid to speak up for those who don't have a voice for themselves, saying things that people needed to hear from a black man in America. He redefined genres of music and inspired decades of musical artists. And even when the fashion industry wasn't taking independent creators seriously, he showed that anyone could produce products and be taken seriously by the industry. He was an idol to many people, including myself. But you see, the guy I'm talking about is a guy called Kanye West. When I say I like Kanye West, I don't mean the one other people mean when they talk about Kanye West. You see, the Kanye West I knew, the one who made albums like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, with songs like Runaway, where he willingly admitted that he had serious issues when it came to commodities, women, and fame. The guy who made albums like Yeezus, an album that was entirely critical of the fashion industry. He's not the same guy people talk about when they talk about Kanye now, because there's basically nothing similar about the two. Not in some kind of evil conspiracy way, but the things Kanye stood for, the things he was interested in, the people he surrounded himself with, none of that is the same anymore. None of who he is now reflects who he was before, and it's really disappointing. But you see, it wasn't always this way for me. Once upon a time, I wouldn't have even said anything this nice about Kanye. You see, when I first found Kanye, it wasn't through the things other people found Kanye through. I remember people telling me that Kanye dropped a new song, and when I turned it on and I saw this goofy guy wearing a Roblox outfit and talking about with women, it didn't really give me the best impression, and to be honest, I feel like it misrepresented his character to me, making me feel like he was just one of those mumble rappers that were really popular at the time and that I didn't really enjoy the music of because it felt like it lacked substance. Well, that was until I saw a video by a content creator known as Aubrey. I remember watching this video that so perfectly defined an interesting persona, an online figure who wasn't afraid to say what he meant, didn't tie his tongue even when he was at threat of risk to himself, and produced music that said more than so many other artists, making him one of the best musical artists living or dead. That video enthralled me in the history of Kanye, and since then I've dug so deep into who Kanye is as a person and his entire past. But it just feels like I can't stand by Kanye anymore. I can't act as if the things he does now are at all acceptable or understandable. And to say the least, it's incredibly disappointing. I remember watching the Genius documentary, and out of all the things I saw within that documentary, Kanye's start, how he got himself to be the musical artist he is now, through convincing a label to take him in only if they would allow him to make an album, and how he managed to climb himself to the position where even I own a pair of his shoes. None of that was what stuck with me out of that docuseries. You see, what stuck with me was something much more simple. A statement by the people behind the docuseries, where he said in reference to Kanye's presidential campaign that sometimes you've just got to turn the camera off on Kanye. And those words have stuck with me ever since. Not because I agree with them, but because it's disappointing that that's what has to be said now about someone who for so long I respected the word of, not just the production of the things he made. Kanye used to be someone who said things that needed to be heard, who spoke up for people who needed a voice, who was an incredibly talented progressive, who stood for independent artists and being yourself. And at this point, I wish I could say sometimes you've just got to turn the camera off on Kanye, but it's simply gone too far. The things Kanye said now are irredeemable, regardless of what excuse you make for it. But to even get to that point, we need to look a little at Kanye's past and his previous controversy, how it all leads to this point where now he's in the news every day saying horrible things about groups that simply don't deserve it. But for that, I think I need to reintroduce someone I mentioned just a little earlier in this video. My good friend, Aubrey.
Since the dawn of his career, the name Kanye West has been embroiled in controversy. While it may be hard to believe now, Kanye's willingness to say whatever he thought at any given moment once it separated him from other artists in a good way. In a world of polished, predictable, and derivative A-list celebrities, Kanye was always a wild card. Someone who not only made great art, but actively tried to disrupt the very spaces he dominated. For the first decade or so of his career, Kanye's infamous outbursts only added to his mystique. But that was mostly thanks to them being pretty harmless in nature. Does drunkenly stealing the mic at an award show really pose any kind of grandiose threat to society?
Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time.
I don't think so, but I know what does. Since his infamous meeting with then President-elect Donald Trump in 2016, Kanye has been known to generate controversy on a more severe scale, one fueled by internal biases that often carry real-world implications due to being so political in nature. This led to a rocky 2018 for Kanye, where he continued to demonstrate a vocal support for Trump, made a catastrophic appearance on TMZ, and held public meetings with far-right figures. Kanye was actively associating with the political party who played a part in implementing the very systemic injustices he once highlighted in his music. After a few months of disappointing fans and going back on the progressive stances he once took in his lyrics, Kanye finally announced on Twitter a realization that he had been used to further ideas that he did not agree with. It was at that point that Kanye West had seemingly closed the door on politics for good. At least that's what I and many others had hoped. After a pretty embarrassing failed presidential bid in 2020, Kanye disappeared to work on more music during the midst of his subsequent divorce from Kim Kardashian. After dropping his 10th album in August of 21, Kanye embarked on a slow and painful fall from grace that's only gotten worse since the start of the year, managing to kill lucrative brand deals, slash his net worth in half, isolate himself from friends and family, and spew hateful, untrue garbage that would land him on InfoWars, where he would only double down on his dangerously insane assessment of Jews in front of a live audience.
Yeah, you heard that right. On December the 2nd, 2022, Kanye West went on an interview with Alex Jones, a now infamous podcast episode in which Kanye West would go on to say all manner of things that should never be repeated by a single individual on Earth. And for most people, this interview was simply gut-wrenching. Nobody expected it to go this far. During this 3-hour interview, Kanye West would go on a string of anti-Semitic comments, stating all manner of things from,
I've said it, the most like activities I've seen, and the Nazis, in my view, were thugs that shook people down, did a lot of really bad things.
But they did good things too. We're gonna stop dissing the all the time.
Okay, we're gonna get to that.
to
Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
to
Just because you don't like one group doesn't mean the other. But look,
I
fine.
love Jewish people, but I also love.
Oh man, well, I have to disagree with that.
and shockingly enough,
I'm just saying, I don't like, and I don't like what some of the mafias are doing either.
I like-
all statements no individual should ever repeat. Statements that hurt me to the bone to say, and something he's never going to recover from. This was a devastating blow to his reputation, and one I don't think anyone should forgive. While Kanye has been embroiled in controversy in recent years, and some things he's done have been quite shocking. This is the one nobody should defend. This is the one I see so many Kanye fans trying to defend, making excuses for, especially an account I quote retweeted recently that was straight up arguing what Kanye was saying was right, but you can't. It's a sign of how far Kanye has fallen from the guy people respected for so long. At this point, we honestly might as well give credit to making Graduation to Hatsune Miku, because she's less problematic. It is crazy that now public figures have to sit down and stare at a camera saying, Hitler was a bad guy. Crazily enough, I know, it's insane that that's a thing I have to say now, or that anyone has to say, because it shouldn't be. But people like Kanye platforming this hateful rhetoric only serve to enable the type of people who use this rhetoric to do harm. And it's hard to specifically tackle subjects surrounding Kanye, because a lot of people are quick to bring up the defense that he was diagnosed as being bipolar, and he did express in the past that his bipolar disorder made him feel like everything was a conspiracy, that everyone was a camera watching him, that there was some big secret organization controlling the strings from behind the scenes. And I get that, and I get how that slightly links to this situation, believing these terrible anti-Semitic things, but the problem is, Kanye hasn't just got like this. For years now, it has been documented that Kanye has been saying things like this over and over and over. This isn't something new, and it's not something that's just going to go away at this point. Kanye has surrounded himself by an echo chamber of white nationalists and otherwise racist individuals who are only looking to profit from exploiting him as a mouthpiece for their propaganda. And he's allowing them to. He's allowing them to completely take advantage of himself. And at this point, the things he's saying, there's no way he can't know this is wrong. What he's saying, it's not something anyone can turn a blind eye to, because it's too far to forgive. I understand being sympathetic for the struggles Kanye's dealt with that have likely led to him being in this position, and the fact he's been taken advantage of by people like Nick Fuentes and convinced to say these things. But it's not as if issues around Kanye haven't been bubbling under the surface for a while, and it's not as if this is something you can simply brush off.
Hearing him deny the Holocaust and cape for Nazis alongside two known reactionaries was far from what I ever expected to see, even from Kanye, a man I once looked up to. For the past couple years, I've been rooting for him to get better, but unfortunately, he's only continued to damage his legacy to the point of no return, forever tarnishing an otherwise great and influential body of work that spanned almost 2 decades. It's unlike anything I've ever seen in my life, and for that reason, it's hard for me to sit here and know exactly what's gonna happen next. He's unwell and isn't worthy of platforming right now, but I know Nazis like Nick Fuentes will continue to parade him around in interviews so long as he proves useful to their cause. Fuentes very publicly believes in pushing discourse as far to the right as possible, and what better way than to use as popular of a celebrity as Kanye as a mouthpiece to further stoke the flames of a culture war that's become so embellished in fascism. Kanye's words are his own. He tweeted the Defcon 3 tweet before coming into contact with Milo, but I also don't think he'd be denying side next to Alex Jones if it weren't for the influence of Milo and Nick Fuentes, who are playing an active role in accelerating Kanye's descent into fascism. You can't tell me a guy like Fuentes, who has compared black people to dogs, actually wants what's best for Kanye. All I know is I feel for anybody who's been affected by the real-world implications of his rhetoric. Seeing anti-Semitic ideas on the rise again is horrifying and is shown to carry deadly consequences throughout history. The problem, it doesn't start or end with Kanye, but he does unfortunately play a crucial part in normalizing anti-Semitism in the mainstream. As someone who once admired the man, I still hold some kind of hope that he himself will be able to one day defy the odds and climb out of this dark pit one day in the future. His passion for the arts and interest in leaving a positive impact on society has been replaced with a burning hatred for marginalized groups. It doesn't make sense and he needs help, but I worry there isn't anyone around him anymore to give him the wake-up call he so desperately needs to hear. Until then, I'm afraid we'll have to continue witnessing the descent of an artist I once called a hero.
And with that, I think I'm going to end this video. Thank you to Aubrey for coming on. I really appreciate him. He's genuinely one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. Spending time at VidCon with him was awesome. Really great guy. Send him your love. It would mean a lot to me. Both of us are big Kanye fans, and It's indescribable how sad it is to see someone you heavily respect fall as low as straight up anti-Semitism bigotry. I think I speak for both of us when saying that it's impossible to support the person behind Kanye West anymore. If you're new to the channel, as always, click the subscribe button down below. You may notice some visual changes. I've been messing around with film grain, color grading, all of that stuff. I'm trying to make these videos look as cool as I can for you guys. I appreciate all the recent support. I've actually been uploading pretty frequently recently, which I take pride in. We did get a little delayed by 2 weeks because of an unfortunate sponsorship that didn't go through, but it is what it is. Thanks for the love. See you friends later in another video, and peace.